Thank you so much for this invitation, DocuFest, to have us here to talk about short film and short film audiences. My name is Sigrid Hardenius Ebner, and I'm working for Uppsala Short Film Festival as a festival producer, where I'm in charge of the national competition as well as the industry. How did you two get into working with short film and the art of short film, and what was it about this art form that captivated you? And I think, Anna, I would like you to start.
So in the last century, I went to the Filmakademie Baden-Württemberg, which is a film school in Germany, to study first animation and documentary filmmaking. And during that time, the film school started a festival, a short film festival that doesn't exist anymore. And they asked me whether I wanted to join the selection team. So that was my first encounter with festival work. And I've been working for different short film festivals, always short film festivals, since then, which is now more than 20 years, as a curator, as a moderator, sometimes on a jury like here. And my main profession used to be doing video installations for theater and exhibition. So I did the festival work on the side. What I like about the short form is that it has great liberties, it has great freedom. The things that could be defined as constraints are actually what I think makes short film interesting. And I'm very curious how the filmmakers, how the artists use these freedoms, use these liberties to express what they want to express, what they want to talk about. And it's always a great pleasure to share that with an audience. And
I'm part of DocuFest like from beginning, maybe more than 20 years. And the first years of DocuFest, we didn't have this short film competition or feature film competition, so everything was screened at once. And the winners can be feature films or short films. And then after some years, we saw that we are doing something wrong, and we decided to separate these programs. And since I was working something else, and I didn't have so much time like my colleagues, like working full time for the festival, I thought the only part I can do for DocFest is doing a short film program. And this happened like maybe more than 15 years ago. And from then I'm watching and I'm creating the short film section at DocFest. I mean, it's only for international shorts, which mean fictions and animation, experimental films. So, yeah, I mean, I agree with Anna that says that short form, it's a form that you can express a bit easier and with less responsibilities comparing to feature films, which are more expensive projects and takes more time. And for that I also started to make films. Like my first film was done like 5 years ago, and I still think it's one of the best ways to express yourself and send messages and contribute to a social change in our country.
So one could say that the two of you are also short film audience, like one part of the short film audience. And here I want to maybe go into you when you're looking for short film as an audience, not for within your job. Where do you look then that is not at the short film festival or a feature film festival?
To be honest, I mainly watch short films in a professional context. So watching the submissions for Berlinale Shorts or being on a jury like here. So it's mainly in professional context where it comes to me in whatever way, where the short films come my way. I don't have to go find them, they come.
I watch mostly at the film festivals. And I watch usually from the online libraries from different film festivals. because always whenever we go to the festivals, they give us access. But I watch only as a curator, because sometimes when I curate a program for any festival, I always go and search films. But the only places are the places where I have access, so I'm not subscribed in any movie or Festival Scope Pro to watch or Criterion. So yeah, mostly at the festivals and their platforms.
How would you, now we're talking about Berlinale Shorts and DocuFest, which you also mentioned now are two very different festivals and type of festivals. Would you, maybe to give us an idea, describe your audience for the short sections?
I think we have a wonderful audience, and Berlinale is very generous with us as a festival because they give us the big cinemas, the big auditoriums. Like I think we have, for the premiere and the first repetition screening, 700 seats, and then 3 more repetition screenings, and it's usually always sold out. So it's a very open-minded, curious audience. I don't know how loyal it is, because I don't know how many people always come back, or how high the percentage of backcomers are or newcomers in the audience. But the energy is always very beautiful, and they're very curious. We always do a Q&A after each film, and it's really quiet in the room, and people really want to hear what the filmmakers have to say. And we do confront our audience with quite difficult films, or quite films that might not be that easy to access, and they seem to enjoy it. So to be honest, I don't really know who my audience is, but I love them for their open-mindedness and for their generosity. And because they are so generous with their attention, I can forget about them again. Like, I don't have to have them in mind when I'm curating, because I can rely on the fact that they want to be taken on the journey we offer them. So, yeah, that's a very beautiful position to be in.
Do you have the feeling that you share the audience with the rest of Berlinale? If you think about the people going to feature film festivals or feature film screenings, do you have the feeling that you share the same audience?
It's a shame we don't know how to do the statistics to find out the answer to these kind of questions. Just from one-on-one conversations, I know there are some people who come and watch every single of those 5 programs, and some of these people are not connected to the film world. They take their holiday, travel to Berlin, book a hotel room, and really watch every shorts program. If they also watch the feature film programs, I don't know. So I think I assume it's a very mixed audience. And I think we often also get people who just didn't get the ticket for the film they actually wanted to see, and then just ended up in our auditorium. And that's often the most beautiful encounters, because they suddenly realize that the short form is something they enjoy, and then they come back afterwards. And I think in general, not only talking about Berlinale, I think there is a huge audience out there for short film, but that audience doesn't know that short film exists, and that short film is a particular art form in cinema. So there's a lot of potential to tap on.
You came in a little bit on when you had your screening for your film, and I wanted to ask how you think as a filmmaker about your audience. Who is the intended audience? Is that something that is there early on in your production, or does it come later, at a later stage, together with a distributor or a strategist?
Yeah, my messages are always to politicians. So the first people who need to watch them, I think, are politicians in my country where I live, because I always tend to be kind of voice of the ones who cannot raise their voice. And thanks God, with the previous film I did that, and we achieved our goal. And for the first time I was sure that even a short film can do change.
What was that goal? Now I'm very curious. Of course, you said you achieved your goal. Was the goal to... what was the impact that you wanted to achieve with your film?
Sorry, yeah. The film was about a ping pong team here in Prizren where they had a lack of training spaces. So they were moving all over the city with their table, like changing locations. And my aim was this film to be seen by the people who, from decision makers, like mayor, like Minister of Sport and Culture, like Prime Minister. So the first goal was achieved when Prime Minister came to watch the film in Cannes. And then we did the premiere here in Prizren. The mayor was there. And in Pristina we screened the film. Minister of Sport was there. And now the good thing is that this building is under construction, like 1 kilometer far from here. So we think that next year this team will have a place where they're going to train. Yeah.
That is really amazing, and it's nice to hear that short films do have impact and can be used for these purposes as well. I wanted to ask, when you program this, I turn to you now, Anna, and because the short film programs are often consistent of X amount of films, depending on the festival. How do you think about when you curate or program that each film of these in this block is being seen as well as the other, is getting as highlighted as the other? How do you think about that in terms of curation?
Yeah, we spend a lot of time thinking about how to do the order of the films and how to make sure that this order, that the films help each other rather than kill each other or knock each other out. And I do it together with a colleague, with Sarah, who's part of my selection team. So we show 20 to 25 films every year. We have 5 programs, and I tend to make those programs shorter. We used to have them longer. We used to show up to 30 films, like in the past before I was the head, or maybe 25, and they sometimes were 90 minutes long, and I think that doesn't work anymore. One is the attention span of the audience, but also I have the feeling that the films we select, they are pretty intense, and when you put more than 4 together, it's quite a roller coaster for the audience. And so I think it doesn't really help the films if we make the program too long and too packed. So these days they are sort of 3 to 5 films in one program, and between 60 and maximum 80 minutes. How to combine them is, I kind of try to anticipate what kind of emotion will be in the room when watching this film, and with what kind of emotion will the audience leave that film. And what do I do with that emotion? Where do I take it? Basically, if there's a funny film, I don't really want to program a heavy, serious film after that, because the audience will need a while to understand this is not funny anymore, this is actually quite heavy. And the other way around is the same. You can kill a comedy if you have a really heavy topic that the audience still needs to digest and is not ready to laugh or doesn't feel like laughing because of whatever they've seen beforehand. So it's this kind of emotion, it's this attempt to anticipate the emotion and the energy in the room and see where would it be good to take that energy. It's easy to combine several films talking about one topic from different angles, and it gives the audience something to talk about and exchange.
Order of the film, I think it's a kind of different challenge for us, like how to keep audience 80 minutes on in. Like, it's also it's about the rhythm of all this program. We try to bring as much as we can filmmakers. So, but still we have different audience because we have local audiences which are not familiar to cinemas. They are not used to go every week in cinemas or every month, because until late years we didn't have at all cinema here. So we contributed a lot to develop new audiences, and we are still working, especially now with kids in schools. Like all the year we have a team of 20 people, which I think Berlin don't have that for all the year. Like the festival team of 20 people working all the year. Yeah. So we have a team of 20 people who works all the year, and their mission is to develop new audiences, like with schools, and how we can use film as a tool for education. We soon, like 3 months ago, we signed agreement with Ministry of Education to include film in national curricula. So this is our mission, to develop new audiences for the future.
With that said, now I want to open the floor to audiences. If you have any questions, there is one here in the end.
And it made me think about like sort of what happened in our parents' generation, where you would go to the cinema and see a short before a feature, and almost like a prologue, or to sort of to anticipate emotionally somehow this like the lead into the feature. And it's funny, it's something I've rarely experienced, but I still kind of miss it. And I wonder if you ever consider that way of approaching, of sort of blending these programs together.
We had the discussion at Berlinale, and my predecessor Michael clearly decided not to have the short film before the feature, but to give the short film its own spot, its own spotlight, its own place. I've never, maybe I'm too young, like my parents told me about this thing that there were short films in the cinema. I don't remember those days. But I heard rumors that the feature film said that so often the feedback was that the short film was better than the feature, so the feature films refused to have short films before them. Let's spread that rumor, okay?
Thank you so much to Anna and Samir for this talk, and for having time to talk a bit about your practice around audiences, and short film audience especially. And thanks to you here in DocuFest and the audience to this talk. It was a pleasure.